It's that time of year again. That's right, award season. For us, that means focusing on the Academy Award Best Picture nominees. So far, we've reviewed American Fiction, Barbie, The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, and Oppenheimer. You can go back through the feed to hear those reviews. We also plan on covering Poor Things, Maestro, and The Zone of Interest on the couch. And those will all be available for Patreon subscribers only. But here in the main feed, we'll review both Past Lives, which will come out next week, and this week's movie, Anatomy of a Fall. I'm Ronald Young Jr., and I'm leaving the theater.
All right. This is Ronald, and I am leaving the theater after seeing Anatomy of a Fall. Anatomy of a Fall, written by Justine Triet and Arthur Harari, directed by Justine Triet, starring Sandra, Swann, Arlaud, Milo, Machado, Graner, Antoine, Reinartz, Samuel, Theis, and Jehnny, Beth. And as usual, for a complete cast listing, you can go to the link in our show notes. It's just me today, and this of course marks the beginning of our official Oscar coverage. Also, this film, Anatomy of a Fall, was also nominated for Best Director, Best Actress with Sandra, Best Original Screenplay, and Best Editing. All right. These Oscar ones are typically going to be short and sweet, which is not something I could say about the length of this movie. This movie was 2 hours and 30 minutes long. Now, I was captivated for every single one of those 2 hours and 30 minutes, except towards the end, I started to think, gotta wrap this up. Where is this going? This is largely just a crime, almost procedural. Imagine a Law and Order where you get mostly all order. Where, you know, like if you watch an episode of Law and Order, typically the first half is the investigating of the crime, and the second half is the adjudication of the crime, unless of course you're watching SVU, where it's really just about investigating and finding out, less so about justice and more about who did it and why they did it, that type of thing. So with this particular movie, the whole thing is a kind of about the trial. Did it happen? Did it not happen? I am already tempted to read many think pieces about this movie because it was set up in a way where we're really not supposed to know whether or not the person accused of a crime in it did it or didn't do it. It's purposefully set with certain perspectives in mind. We're given some information and other information is withheld, which honestly, I like movies like that. I especially like it when at the end they just tell us what really happened. And for those of you that are going to brave the 2 hours and 30 minutes, let me just be the first to tell you they are not going to do that in this movie. Whatever you decide happens in the film, and I think the film even posits this at one point, that at some point when you are presented with two sides of an argument or a decision or whatever, you just kind of have to decide what you choose to believe, and that is very much what this film is asking us to do from beginning to end. Now, the acting is very good. I think it's filmed in a very good light. It's a French film, I think. It is a French film. It's a French film. I don't know why I said I think. A lot of it is in French, which is fine. It's easy to follow. The subtitles are very big. It is listed as a thriller. I don't know if I would call it a thriller. It feels just a lot more mundane than that. And it really doesn't, it almost reminds me a lot of, it gave me vibes from Tar from last year. It gave me Tar vibes in a lot of ways. Like, so where Tar was more of a kind of, it takes a position on its main character. This one, it also takes a position on its main character, but that position is a lot more subtle, I would say. It's a lot more subtle here than I've seen than specifically in Tar and then in other movies. That being said, this was nominated for lots of awards. This was nominated for 5 Oscars and many other awards. But we're specifically with the Oscars, Best Picture, Best Director. I think both of those are deserved. Best Actress, I think that's also deserved. I think she does a wonderful job in this film, portraying a woman who was kind of like tortured going through it. And if you lean on the side of not thinking that she did it, and the movie opens with a murder, and the suspect is the man's husband who is dead. I mean, the man's wife. The man is now dead, and the woman is played by Sandra Huller. So she is suspected of murder throughout the entire film, and it's examining the trial that she goes through as a result. I should have said that earlier. My bad. But the point is, if you don't believe that she is guilty, then I think the acting is even better. Now, if it turns out that there was some secret version of this that came out that says, hey, yo, she's guilty and she's been guilty the whole time, then I think the acting is even better. So either way, she had to play it in a way that made me either believe or not believe. And I'm sure there's people that left this thinking she definitely did it. I am not one of those people. Again, you kind of have to decide, and the movie posits that you do that. Because of that, it's kind of like a choose your own adventure type thing. I think it's a great movie because of that regard. I'll never watch it again. It's 2 hours and 30 minutes. I'm just not going to do that, which is going to buck a little bit of the score because, you know, and actually I've told y'all that before. If I give a movie a score, the baseline is 3 stars means I'd watch it again. But this one I know is going to be above 3 stars, but I would definitely not watch it again. I think it deserves the accolades that it's gotten, especially for the Oscar film. It will not win Best Picture, and I don't think it should. I would not mind if it won for Best Directing, or if Sandra Huller, who would be a dark horse to win the acting award, if she won for that. She's up against some titans of industry in the Best Acting category, and not even a titan of industry. I'll just say it's going to be hard for her to be I am blanking on her name, but it is Lily Gladstone. It is going to be hard for her to beat Lily Gladstone, but I'd be interested if she did. It'd be very interesting. It wouldn't be undeserved if she did. I just think this is Lily Gladstone's year. So with all of that in mind, I think this is a fine movie. I think if you are bored and you feel like being even more bored, in the sense that this is a very intentionally paced movie, not that it is boring, but I'm telling you, if you watch this on the couch, you are likely going to fall asleep. I watched it in the theater, so I think that had a little bit of a better experience. With all of that in mind, I think this is a solid 4 stars. I would not give it any more or less than that. This is like for an Oscar film. I expect them all to be kind of at the bare minimum of 4, which would be kind of like a modified version of a 3 in real scoring, because I mean, I think most movies are average. Most movies should be 3 stars, but Oscar movies should be at least a little bit above average, and I think this definitely meets those requirements. So yeah, I give it 4 of 5 stars. I think it is going to be contending most hardest in Best Original Screenplay and probably Best Editing, and probably Best Director. I do not think it's going to win Best Actress or Best Picture. So yeah, with that, Leaving the Theater is a production of Oh It's Big Round Studios. I am mixing this episode, so thanks, me. And if you listen to this episode and you're like, hey, the audio quality is a little worse, consider joining the Patreon. Patreon pays for this. So consider joining that Patreon if you're like, this could be mixed better. Because if I got to do the mixing, it's just not going to be the same quality as we get from the folks at Bias Studios. But we're working on it. We're trying to become more self-sustaining. So consider joining the Patreon. Show art from Heather Wilder. Theme music by the mysterious Breakmaster Cylinder. For more information about Anatomy of a Fall, check out our show notes. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, or Threads at OHitsBigRon. That's at OHITSBIGRON. You can find out more about this show and other Oh It's Big Ron Studios shows by following us on Instagram at Oh It's Big Ron Studios and on Twitter at Oh It's Big Ron Stew. That's STEW. Leaving the Theater will be back soon. Thanks for listening.